Hello and a very warm welcome from Khaleej Times. My name is Yasmin and today we are joined by two professors from Zayed University, one from Dubai and one from Abu Dhabi. The first guest we have is Dr. Ganga Danesh, who is the Associate Professor and Associate Dean of the College of Communication and Media Sciences. Welcome, Dr. Ganga.
Thank you.
And we also have Dr. Paulo Moura, who is the Associate Professor and Assistant Dean for Research and Outreach of the College of Communication and Media Sciences. Welcome, Dr.
Thank
Paulo.
you very much.
So what we're going to start off with is a question to Dr. Ganga. What are some of the important trends in the field of strategic public relations and communication management globally and in the UAE?
Yeah, I mean, that's really a very relevant question considering that we are facing literally what's being called technological moonshots and its impact in the field of strategic PR and communication management. And I think one of the biggest technological moonshot or disruptive transformational change that's happening is the advent of artificial intelligence and what that means for communication management. I mean, of course, globally and starting to show in the UAE as well. I mean, it could range anything from NLG and its impact on content creation or data journalism, or even predictive data analysis, analytics, where you identify stakeholder preferences through really deep social listening, or identify influencers and journalists with whom the brand or the organization could have a good alignment. Now, when all these changes are happening, it can be really deeply disruptive to the field. So how do we deal with these changes? And I think it is very important to focus on what we do best. So in strategic public relations or strategic communication management, the focus is on building relationships between organizations and brands and their various publics and stakeholders. So we need to kind of focus on building relationships and what ad guru Rory Sutherland called psychological moonshots. So we need to leverage our deep understanding of human communication and human behavior in order to build these relationships. So the technologies kind of help us to do what we are meant to do best, which is fundamentally about building those deep, ethical and meaningful relationships between organizations, brands, and their publics.
Fantastic. And can you just clarify for the audiences, what is the term moonshots? Is that what you said?
Yes, yeah. Moonshot. So moonshot just means any hugely ambitious project which you're really unsure of the final outcome, but it can be radically transformative in its potential to change.
Great, fantastic. Thank you for clearing that. And we have a kind of a similar question, but in your field, Dr. Paulo, what are some of the important trends in the field of tourism and communication globally and in the UAE?
First of all, we need to understand that tourism and cultural communication is a very important field to understand, because tourism is one of the biggest industries in the world. It's one of the fastest growing industry in the world. I mean, despite the health of the tourism industry during the pandemic, it is estimated that in the post-pandemic scenario, definitely the industry will grow. So definitely one of the trends in the future is to make sure that tourism develops, but it has to develop in a very sustainable manner. What does it mean, sustainable manner? Sustainable from an economic point of view, from a social point of view, from an environmental point of view. Because tourist flows are needed in many countries, including the UAE, but we also have to make sure that there is a balance between the environment, social and economic, and tourist flows. So it is important also to understand that tourism is a social phenomenon. It's not just an industry. So tourism brings people together, people from different nationalities, from different cultures, with different beliefs different patterns of behavior. So it is important to understand this point because interactions may bring misunderstandings. So they need to be explored, studied, and understood in order to make sure that we minimize the possibilities for conflict and we maximize the social power of tourism, which is the power of strengthening social relations. By bringing people together, we can have a better understanding of how different we are, and these differences are a resource for all of us. So tourism brings social cohesion, tourism brings social capital, and strengthen social bonds. And in our program, we would like the students to focus on all the different implications of the tourism industry, both from an industry point of view and also from a social point of view.
Great, beautifully said. Thank you very much for that. And I just have one question that maybe is on some people's minds. So how long do you think it's going to take for tourism to get back to the way it was pre-pandemic? Do you have any idea where that can go?
I mean, of course, we have studies currently going on in order to understand how long it's going to take, but the general idea is that tourism is going to be back on track very soon and very fast.
It already is in the UAE,
Yes.
isn't it?
We know from the past that anytime the tourism industry has been disrupted for several reasons, then managed to get on track very, very quickly. So already in many destinations worldwide, tourist flows are increasing, the numbers are catching up. So that's why it's very important to focus on this field now, because we want to make sure that even in the future, tourism is sustainable.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to that. And so just back to the public relations topic. Given the trends that you've mentioned before, what's your vision for educating students for the future?
So as I said, the technologies that are disrupting our field is really quite unprecedented. So how do you prepare students for a future that one can't quite predict? One's contours, one really can't predict. So to me, and what we particularly do in the Master of Arts in Communication program, is to prepare students for literally what's called a VUCA world, a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. How do you do that? You really can't teach them these techniques and technologies because they keep changing. They become obsolete even before they graduate. So what you can hopefully do is to teach students how to learn. Right? I think it's about learning, relearning, unlearning, relearning. So it's in a continuous process of learning. And
adaptability.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do that through a clutch of approaches, which are mostly problem-based learning, experiential learning, scenario-based learning. So essentially to kind of inculcate not just an ethical grounding, which is of course very important, as Paula had mentioned, in terms of approach towards purpose of brands and being purpose-driven brands, to build those ethical relationships, but also to focus on critical thinking skills. I would think critical thinking, problem solving, questioning, right? And then coming up with solutions, research skills. So those are the fundamental skills that we can hope to impart that will prepare students for a future that is constantly changing.
Yes, like you said, ambiguous is a very
Absolutely.
descriptive word for it. So, and the question towards you, Dr. Paulo, given these trends, what is your vision for educating students in the future for tourism and culture?
My understanding is that students need to understand the importance of diversity. As tourism brings people from different backgrounds together, and the students, they need to understand that this diversity is a resource. It's a resource that can be used for many different reasons, from economic point of view, from a social point of view. So in our program, we let our students reflect upon the role of diversity. We want them to have an in-depth understanding of different interactions.
Great. And so, just in your own words, each of you can give us a different answer, but who are these courses programmed towards, or who are you looking to join this program?
So the MAC program that focuses on strategic public relations is mostly, at the moment, directed at practitioners, at professionals. We've had quite a nice range in terms of experience, ranging from people who have probably a couple of years of experience to someone who is mid-career. And that's quite common in graduate programs of this nature. And it's great actually to have all these people with very different experiences and backgrounds together in the same space to discuss, especially to do with the kind of experiential learning that we engage in. So having these kind of different backgrounds really help, but it's primarily aimed at professionals who might want to refresh their understanding of the field and stay up to date, and kind of looking for more career progression.
Like you said, also influencers could probably benefit from this, since they do make a lot of brand deal relationships.
Absolutely. Anyone who's interested in the space of communication management, strategic communication, how do you build those relationships between brands, organizations, and publics through the use of strategic communication? And that's a pretty broad palette. So yeah, anyone interested in that space would really benefit from the course.
Fantastic. Great. And what about for the tourism and culture?
I would say whoever has an interest in tourism is more than welcome to join the program. Of course, we have already tourism professionals working in the field. They are more than welcome to join because they can strengthen their skills related to tourism, but also professionals from other fields who have passion, who have interest in tourism, they are welcome to join. As I said, it's one of the biggest industries in the world, and definitely I believe that many people will be interested in focusing on specific aspects of this industry.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us, and we can't wait to see what else you guys have in store for us in the coming years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.